Do you live every day of your life on purpose? Do you wake up thrilled, just excited to get to the things you have to do today? Hi, I'm Kellan Fluckiger, and if you don't like the answer to that question, you're in the right place. We only get one life to live, and we have to live it by the expiration date. So join me for a ride. When I was 6 years old, my life ended, but not in the way you normally think of ending, in that I stopped breathing. But I thought it was over, so what happened? Well, I was in first grade like any other 6-year-old, and I liked my school and my teacher. One day, Mrs. Birch asked all of us to write the numbers as high as we could on a piece of paper. The other kids started, and I raised my hand, and she called me to the desk. I told her I couldn't complete the assignment, and of course she asked why. I said, well, no matter how many numbers I wrote, I can always add one, and that would be a bigger number. She took my paper and told me to sit down. Sometime later, my parents brought me to school on a rainy Saturday that I remember all too well. I remember the clouds and the rain and the fact that I went to see the principal, which of course was terrifying. I answered a bunch of questions and played some silly games and then went home. The next Monday was the apocalypse. They put me in the second grade, and not only that, they put me in the advanced section of the second grade. For one day, I thought I was the coolest person in the world, but my social and emotional skills were not up to the challenge. I spent the rest of my childhood, all the way through high school, as an introverted outcast, cast out even among the outcasts. Some examples might be sad but amusing. In fourth grade, the misery of all miseries was field day. That's the day you spend outside all day playing games and taking physical tests. I stunk. In the 50-yard dash, for example, a good time was 7.5 seconds, and the cool guys came in at 6'8" and 6'9". I could never get under 8 seconds. In addition to being physically awkward, it didn't help that I wore unfashionable clothes. 1 on a scale of 10 would have been generous. My bicycle had a big basket, and I wore hiking boots instead of sneakers. You know the story. I was last to be chosen in every activity, shunned in every circumstance, and basically eliminated from social existence. My self-esteem was in the toilet, and to make it all worse, I cried all the time. In the 8th grade, I got the male lead in the annual school musical. The problem was the part was really high, and I sang like a little boy in the Vienna Boys Choir. No matter what I did, my social standing sank to new lows of previously unimagined pain. In a desperate attempt to win friends and be popular, I resorted to stealing candy bars at the local store and giving them to other boys so they would like me. It didn't work. I got caught and had to suffer the soul-stretching indignity of returning the candy and missing money in person to the owner. I played on the volleyball team, but I got hit in the face with the ball, which broke my glasses on the bridge of the nose. The black horn-rimmed nerd glasses I wore were bad enough, but after they broke, my dad fixed them because that wasn't the first time and he assumed it wouldn't be the last. He screwed a piece of flexible plastic to both sides of the bridge of the nose, and it worked perfectly. They were completely fixed, except the plastic was white and looked ridiculous. My dad may have fixed it with 2 screws, but the only thing that really got screwed was me. Even the teachers had to laugh. When I graduated from high school, the librarians, who knew me all too well, gave me an old worn-out copy of the Handbook of Chemistry and Physics because they had just bought a new edition and they wanted me to be able to finish memorizing it. So by now, you get the picture. I was a complete social misfit, self-esteem below zero, totally unpopular, with no prospect of change. Yippee. I got to college 5 days early and I was staying in the dorms my first year. The place was empty, and I'm standing there on the top floor of the dorm, looking down this long hall. I was reflecting on my miserable, socially inept, introverted life. I thought, it's the end of August, I'm 17 and at university, I won't even be 18 until December, this is really going to stink. Then for the second time in my life, the world changed. Only this time it was in the form of an epiphany. As I stood there staring at the empty hall, a thought came thundering through the wall of misery and fear that always surrounded my every waking hour. The thought was simple. These people don't know me. They do not know I am an inept, nerdy, unpopular bookworm with no social skills. What if I don't tell them? Suddenly, the world was different. I was in control. From that second on, my life changed completely and I never looked back. I got dates with nice girls, I got straight A's, I was on the volleyball team, I got a scholarship, and it didn't stop there. Since then, I've been a business executive, owned a recording studio, recorded 6 albums, performed professionally, been an international speaker, testified before Congress and the California legislature, earned a second-degree black belt in multiple martial arts, and learned to ski on double black diamond slopes at age 45, written 5 books, and the list goes on. So what happened in the hall? At that moment, I learned what it means to live life on purpose. In the 40 years since then, I have studied everything there is to study about motivation, meditation, action, the law of attraction, neuro-linguistic programming, goal achievement, high-performance people, and all the related subjects. But I've done more than study it, I've lived it. Now, my life hasn't been perfect. I've made mistakes, screwed up, had wild successes, and abysmal failures. But I know 3 things. That my life is ultimately in my control. That if things are messed up, I can fix them, and that I can have what I want. I can be anything. Now, I'm a messenger, and my message is this: you can have this incredible power. You can live every day of your life on purpose. There's no magic to this. This isn't some gold mine that I can hoard, even if I wanted to, which I don't. I did not invent it, and it is available to everybody. The purpose of this video is to take you through that little journey about what I discovered and explain to you the glorious principles that let me learn to live my life on purpose. These principles allowed me to accomplish whatever I really wanted and actually create the life I want to live. So there's 4 parts to this journey. Are you ready? The first principle I call break the cage. Stop living life locked on the inside looking out. Before I can get up and run across the street, I have to get rid of the chains that are holding me to the floor, right? As creatures of habit, we spend 85% of our day doing things without thinking, completely driven by the habits we have in our lives. Wouldn't it be powerful to make the habits the servants instead of the masters? You can discover and obliterate habits, barriers, limiting behaviors, beliefs, attitudes, influences, indulgences that don't serve you, or worse yet, undermine the very things you want and keep you locked up physically, emotionally, or financially. Next, get your mind into the game. I call that jumpstart your genius. Access the supercharged mind you were born with. We've all heard it said we only access a small part of our mental capacity. Why is that? Everyone knows how fast and how much we learn when we're little kids. When everything is new, how did we lose that? The good news is we didn't. We just unlearned it. Explore the magic of neuroplasticity so you can fix that and crank it up to 11. The third part is to create powerful relationships. I call it CPR for the modern world. Everything about our lives is based on the relationships we have with others. What kind of relationships do you have with your significant other, with your boss, with your family, with your friends? Are the relationships like you want them? If not, why not? We don't control others, so any work we do on relationships starts with us. So let me ask you a question. If the universe looked down at you or me, what does it see? Does it see a generous, open, giving, trustworthy person? Or something else? This key will open your eyes to understand how to be the relationships you want to have, so you will have the relationships as you want them to be. The last principle I call the learning monster, a bit of a funny name, but this is a good, friendly, and outrageously powerful monster. Here you create your own supercharged dragon to devour and make sense of this information overload. Information doubles every few months, and most of it's superfluous or irrelevant, but it bombards us incessantly. So what do? We filter the onslaught, make sense of the relevant, and absorb the important for your own benefit and advancement, either for business or pleasure. The message I have for you is this: your life can be just like you want. What I have described is within your reach. This is an invitation for you to take it and make it your own. It is not magic. It's just learning to live your life on purpose. Join me. Now, there's a lot more to this message than this brief conversation. I'd like you to take just a minute and think about the people you know in your life. If you know someone that you think would benefit from this message about living life on purpose, taking control, changing our circumstances, and having what we really want in life, then I would ask you please to send them to this video so they also can have the benefit of this message. I'm sure they will be grateful to you for being such a good friend. I'd like to ask you for one more thing. I need your help. If what you hear here resonates with you or makes you feel inspired, then I would ask you please to do one of two things for me. First, leave a comment below. Please take just a minute and tell me a little about yourself and what you felt or what inspired you as you listened to this message and thought about your own life. Or the other thing you can do is to vote for me as a messenger. As messengers, we collect votes as a way of measuring our effectiveness in bringing good value and help to our audience. But what's really important to me is the inspiration and help that I might offer to you. I think what really matters is that the message helps you feel like you want to live more of your life on purpose and in your control. So leave a comment for me or vote. Either way, I really appreciate your time, and I hope that you will accept my invitation and join me in living your life on purpose.